Hi guys, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'll be showing us how to draft a basic bodice pattern. If that's something you are interested in, keep watching. The pattern paper I'm using for this tutorial is on fold. The next thing I'll do is to draw out the starting line by leaving 1 inch away from the tip of the paper. I'll mark it and connect it into a straight line. This will be our starting line, which is also the shoulder line. The next thing I will do is to input the shoulder measurement, which is 15 inches. Divided by 2, I have 7.5, so I'll mark out 7.5 here. Then mark out a neck width of 3 inches. Then come down by 1 inch at the shoulder for the shoulder slope. I'll connect that together. The next thing is to get the armhole depth. To get the armhole depth, your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. Here I'm going to be using 6.5. My bust is 40 divided by 6.5 plus 1.5, 6.5. Then from that point, I'm going to take my tape back to the starting point and measure what I have there, which will be 7.5. I'll use that to mark it all around in order to get a straight line. This line will also serve as our chest line. On the chest line, I'm going to input the shoulder measurement again, which is 7.5. Then connect it together for our armhole line. The next thing is to get our bust line, which is 2 inches away from our chest line. So I'm going to measure 2 inches and mark it all around. Then connect that point together on the straight line. The bust line. The next thing is to measure our shoulder to waist. The shoulder to waist I'm using here is 16 inches. So I'll mark that out 16 inches. Then connect it together. The waistline. Then now we'll take our length. This will be our blouse length. So here I'm using the blouse length of 23 inches. I'll mark that out also. Then connect the dots together to form a straight line. The next thing is to input our dart measurement. To get our dart measurement here, I'm going to be dividing the waist by 6. So I'm going to be having 4. Then come down from the bust line by 1 inch to avoid pointed edges. Then mark out our 4 inches and connect that together on a straight line. On the waistline, I'm going to go outward by half an inch on both sides, on the left side and on the right side. Then connect it back together. The next thing is to input my bust measurement. The bust I'm using here is 40 inches. Divided by 4, that will be 10 inches. So I'll mark out 10 inches. The next measurement is my waist. I'm using a waist of 32 inches. Divided by 4, I have 8. Then I'll add back the dart that has been taken out, which is 1 inch. Then for my blouse hip, I have 40 inches there. So divided by 4, also 10. I'll mark out that too and connect it together. The waistline for the front and the waistline for the back is usually not the same thing. So to balance that out, we are going to be introducing a bust dart. The waistline for this one, this pattern I'm drafting, for the front I have 16 inches and for the back I have 14 and a half. So I'm going to be introducing a bust dart of 1.5 inches in order to balance that. So I'll mark 1.5 here. Then measured 1 inch away from the dart and connect it. Here we have our bust dart. Your bust dart measurement is determined by the difference between your front waistline and your back waistline. That is shoulder to waist for the front and shoulder to waist for the back. Here for the neck depth, I'm going to be using a neck depth of 3 inches for the front. Measure that and I'll connect it together. Then for our armhole, on this armhole line, I'm going to measure what I have there and divide it into 2. Then at that point, I'm going to come in by half an inch. Then I'm going to connect all these points together. Here we have our armhole. Then at the lower part, I'm going to come up by 1.5 inch. That's to give the blouse a nice shaping at the side. And that's it for our front pattern. So here I'm going to cut it out so that you can see it. Now we have our front pattern. This is our complete front pattern. Let's draft our back pattern. For the back pattern, I'm going to measure out 1 inch away from the tip of the paper. That's our starting line, which is also the shoulder line. Horizontally, I'm going to measure 2 inches away from the tip. That will serve as our zip allowance. This space will give room for our zip allowance. Then now the next thing is to input our back measurement. Starting from that line, I'm going to measure out my back measurement, which is 7.5. Then come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. For the neck width, I'm going to be using 3 inches also. Then connect that for the shoulder slope. The next thing is to input our armhole depth, which is 6.5. Bust divided by 6 plus 1.5 inch. I'll take the tuple back to the shoulder line and measure it out. There I'll be having 7.5. That's plus the 1 inch for the shoulder slope. Then I'll connect it together to have a straight line. So here now, this is our chest line. On the chest line, I'll input 7.5, which is our shoulder measurement, and connect that on a straight line as our armhole line. For this, we will not be having a bust line. So the next measurement I'll be taking is the shoulder to waist measurement. Here, the shoulder to waist measurement is 14.5. Remember the one for the front was 16 inches. But the back waistline is 14.5. I'll measure that and connect it together. Also, it will affect our length. So the length here will be minus 1.5, which is the difference between the front waistline and the back waistline. So instead of 23 that I'll be using for length here, I'll measure out 21.5. This is because the back length is also different from the front length. So I'll connect that together, and that's our blouse length for the back. The next thing is to input the dart, which is also waist divided by 6. I'll measure that and connect it together on a straight line. On the waistline, I'm going to come out by half an inch on both sides. Half an inch on the right side and half an inch on the left side. Then connect it to the length and also to the chest line. Because our back is not straight, I'm going to be going in by 3/4 on the waistline. That's to avoid the bulge. So I'll connect that up and I'll connect it down to the length. From that 3/4 point is where I'm going to be taking the waist measurement from. From that point, I'll mark out my waist measurement, which is 8 inches. Then add the 1 inch dart allowance there, which is 1 inch. Then I'll input my bust measurement, 10 inches here. Then for the blouse hip, 10 inches also. And connect it together. Now for the armhole, I'm going to measure what I have there, divide it into 2, and at that point, I'll connect the 3 points together. To form our armhole curve. Then I'll mark out the back neckline. For the back neckline, I'm going to be using 1.5 inch for the depth. I'll connect that to the 3 inches width. Now I'm going to mark out our zipper allowance. For this, I'll be using a zipper allowance of 1 inch. So I'll mark that out. At the waistline, you're going to go in to the 3/4 you measured to mark out your 1 inch. Then connect that together. It is not going to give you a straight line. At that point, at that waist point, it's going to go in because we've gone in by 3/4. And that's it. So these are zipper allowance. Also at the side of the blouse, at the lower part of the blouse for the back pattern, I'm going to come up by 1.5 inch to give it a nice shape the way I did for the front pattern. Then I'll connect that together. And that's it, we have our back pattern. So I'll cut that out soon. Now we have our front and back pattern. If you are wondering if the back pattern and the front pattern we balance up because we use different length measurements, then I will show you now both front pattern and back pattern together. So these are front pattern and these are back pattern. If you place it on together, you see that the front pattern is longer than the back pattern. That's because we've not held out our bust dart. Now I'm going to hold the bust dart together and place it back together. Now you can see it has balanced out. So that's the point of our bust dart. And that's it, guys. We have our basic bodice pattern for the front and the back. If you have any question, you can drop it in the comment section. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe.